welcome to our September 26th Winchester Public Schools report regular business meeting. Ms. Bridgeman. Here. Crawford. Here. Mr. Benedetta. Here. Dr. Christie Collins. Here. Ms. Rubin. Here. Wallace. Present. Ms. Young. Here. Great committee at this time will be led with our belief statements and pledge of allegiance. And I proceed.
We believe that every student has the right to an excellent education in a safe, experiential, and imaginative learning environment. Every student deserves equitable opportunities to learn, grow, and serve. An intentional focus on future-ready skills and dispositions, integrated with essential academic knowledge, develops an empowered 21st century individual. Mental, emotional, and physical health are essential conditions for optimal learning.
Collective efficacy and shared accountability are vital ingredients of our workforce. Winchester Public Schools must be learner-centered, agile, and courageous in modeling the power of public education across our Commonwealth, country, and world. A vibrant public education system positively impacts the social, economic, and civic well-being of Winchester. Embracing the diversity of our students, their families, and our community is the strength that unifies us. To achieve equity, we must clearly define and monitor the extent to which all learners and groups are empowered through access, diversity, and inclusion. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next on our agenda are chairman's comments. We don't have any comments this evening, so I'll turn it over to Dr. Van Hinkle.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I as well do not have any comments.
Okay, at this time, we'll open up for board comments. I'll start down here to my right. Mr. Wallace? Dr. Pierce-Gonzalez?
A few of us just came from our first tour of the Douglas School, and to walk through that building with Ms. Crawford and Mr. Elias was something I don't think I'll ever forget. I saw where Elias went to first grade and second and third grade. We got to see where the gym used to be and things like that. I've been on this board now for 5 years, and 30 years from now, when I look back on my service on this board, I think the opening of the Douglas School is going to be the thing that is probably the most vivid memory that I have. So I appreciate you, Mr. Smith, for walking us through. And I can't wait till we get back into that building.
Great, thank you. Ms. Rubin? Ms. Crawford? Ms. Delgado? All right. This time I'll turn it over to our student reps. I'll start with Mr. Vega Messina.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So at Daniel Morgan Intermediate, they've been playing Latin music in the mornings in celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month. And in addition to playing it on the buses too, which is really nice. And they also have a display case in the entry that celebrates Hispanic Heritage Month in different ways. Next, Virginia Avenue. They have won the Kona Ice Truck for attendance during the first week of September. They had a great PTO meeting with over 100 in attendance and second graders performing. For Hispanic Heritage Month, they are recognizing different people daily in their announcements, and twice a week in their ESOL team, they are sending a PowerPoint to teachers to go over their homework and showing students about all the amazing accomplishments that these people have done. In the dual language program, the teachers are teaching about cultures of other countries, which is something that happens year-round, which is really great for our students. At Frederick Douglass, they held their annual movie on the lawn last Friday and had an amazing turnout. They have been doing many different activities to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month and will continue to celebrate over the next couple of weeks, and including a school-wide assembly. And at Hanley, we are also planning a school-wide assembly with Latinos Unidos, and I'm very excited about that. I know we're going to have lots of representations of cultures through dances, possibly some speeches and other things like that. And I believe a few days after, we're going to have a party, the fiesta for Hispanic Heritage Month, and we're going to be having food from many different Hispanic restaurants in Winchester. So it'd be really great to see everyone there.
Thank you. I just have one quick question. You said Virginia Avenue had 100 parents attend the PTO meeting. Was it Virginia Avenue?
Yes.
That's incredible. I mean, that's incredible. Do we have any idea what was on the agenda that evening? I'm just curious. Yeah.
I'm not
just
sure.
curious. I mean, that's incredible. Thank you. All right, Ms. Ritchie.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the month of September, Daniel Morgan kicked off the year with Morgan Pride. Students have been earning Pride points, and their school store is open to cash in their points. They will host their first PBIS reward with Maddie's Ice Cream Truck on October 7th, so the students are really excited about that. The Daniel Morgan campus honored September 11th with a whole campus video and presentation. First responders from the community were present for the event. It's very special. At Corals Elementary, fourth graders are attending Starbase at the Armory, which they are loving it. Several grade levels attended field trips to the Discovery Museum, which have been a big hit. The Kona Ice Truck visited last week because they've improved their attendance, and they had a tremendous turnout from the community and families to their open house on the 22nd. Lastly, they have duck eggs right now that are in the incubator, so students are really excited to see what comes from that. At John Kerr Elementary, they have been crushing the attendance challenge. Students enjoyed the Kona Ice Truck as well, and they were in the lead again last week with 99.6% attendance. Students have been coming to school daily, which allows them opportunities to learn with their peers. Students have been busy with STEAM activities in and outside of the classroom. They've made solar ovens to cook bread in. Lastly, they have a new group of ducklings that have hatched. So that's definitely what we're seeing in the elementary schools right now. And finally, at Hanley, we had our second PBIS activity last Friday. We had obstacle courses and inflatable jousting set up. Our Hanley Pride is being shown by supporting the fall sports. The football team is now 5-0, and the Hanley golf team has a regional tournament tomorrow. So go Judges.
Thank you. This is great. I really do appreciate these updates because oftentimes us as board members, we don't get an opportunity to hear about those day-to-day student and teacher engagements. So this is very helpful. So thank you for that. All right. At this time, I will open up the floor for our request by citizens to speak. Madam Clerk, do we have anyone that signed up to address the board this evening?
No, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Is there anyone here in the audience that may not have had an opportunity to sign up but would like to address the board? No? All right. Thank you. That does close that section. Moving on to our consent agenda. On our consent agenda this evening, we have approval of consent agenda items, the agenda, minutes, bills, facility usage, and our minor policy revisions. I will entertain a motion for consent approval.
Motion to approve consent agenda items as presented.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Virginal, a second by Mr. Wallace. Is there any discussion? All right, all in favor? Any opposed? All right, thank you. Our consent agenda is adopted. All right, we do have one action item this evening, major policy revisions. I hope everyone had an opportunity to kind of review those policies. I thought they were pretty simple, except for one, so we'll see. All right, and this will be presented by Ms. Buckley and Mr. Smith.
Good evening. Is this on? Is this on? Can you hear me? Okay. So I am here tonight for policy KNAJ and specific to relations with law enforcement authorities. And I know that we had one question just in regards to whether the written threat versus the verbal threat. And I just wanted to clarify that the reason for that is that it is provable in court. And this is the wording that was passed by the General Assembly, is why it was worded that way. So I just want to see if there's any other questions.
I just want to make sure, are you covering the updated one and also able to answer some questions about the original one where we have all the cross-outs?
Sure.
Okay. I think the only thing for me is when I'm looking at the policy and then specifically the exceptions, under the bulleted items on page 2 of the policy,
Mhm.
when I read this, looking at, I guess it's the third bullet down where it says the illegal carrying of a firearm, and then the next one says any illegal conduct involving firebombs, et cetera, et cetera. Are there any, I guess maybe it's just the way that I'm thinking about it, are there any circumstances where it would be legal? Like, why are we specifically saying illegal? I'm just curious about that.
Why we're saying legal, I'm sorry, I'm looking for the exact wording.
I'm on page 2 of policy KNHA.
Yep.
And the third and fourth
Oh,
bullet
found it.
down.
Oh, the illegal carrying of a firearm
Yeah,
as defined by code onto school property. And then the new wording being illegal carrying of a firearm as defined in code onto school property.
right. Yeah, I was just curious about illegal. Just, I guess it just depends on the way that you read it and kind of internalize it. To me, it just seemed like it wouldn't say illegal. It would just be, that word be omitted, but I was just curious if there was a reason.
Not to my knowledge.
Any other questions or comments for Shubin?
Miss Emo, I was thinking it's probably because there are instances when you could legally carry a firearm onto school property, specifically law enforcement. So that's why I was thinking it specifically states illegal, at least when I read it. But I concur that at face value, it sounds a little
Yeah, thank you.
repetitive.
Right, and I thought that, but I'm like, well, this is, this is for students, but thank you, thank you. I'm sure it's- Any other questions or comments? Okay. And this is an action item. Oh, yeah. Okay. Ed, we have EFB, food services.
Good evening. So policy EFB was presented to the board at the last meeting. As you'll recall, it was presented to the board as a major because it was a change in policy and how we were going to provide meals. A change in policy, but a change in procedures as well. We're going to feed the children after school that are participating in instructional time, as well as a change that said that we would not withhold extracurricular activities from children who carry debt on their nutrition accounts. Again, as a reminder, we don't have debt on our books because we are a community eligibility provision school, and so we do not have debt on the books for our students. And so I didn't receive any additional questions, but if there are any at this time, I'd be glad to address them, and then I would request that you approve it as presented.
Any questions for Ed, comments? Other questions, so do we not participate in the milk program, or is that already included when we're talking about meals? Because I saw that milk was crossed out.
We do not participate in the milk program. I can't remember exactly why it is, but we do not participate in it. Yeah, I can't remember exactly why that is.
Okay.
I can get back to you, but we do not participate in the milk program. They do, yeah, milk is part of their meal. But yeah, I think the milk program was it's a program where they can get additional milks after school and stuff. So.
Okay, are there any questions, any further questions or comments for Mr. Smith? This is an action item. All right.
Thank you.
So I'll open up the floor and entertain a motion, please.
Motion to approve revisions to policies KNHA, relations with law enforcement authorities, and EFB, food services as presented.
Okay, we have a motion by Dr. Pierce Gonzalez. We have a second by Mr. Wallace. Is there any further discussion? All right, all in favor? All right, any opposed? All right, thank you. That motion passes. Next up, we are on item number 6 on our agenda this evening under reports and presentations. Policies for review. We have quite a few here. Dr. Bruce?
Dr. Bruce is unable to be with us this evening. As you know, every meeting we have 10 policies for you to just lay eyes on and review. There's no changes here. We just want to make sure board members and administration are laying eyes on our policies as appropriate and know what they say. So if there's not any questions, there's no action that's needed here tonight.
Any questions, comments around any of these policies? I know in the previous email, I emailed to the board that this will be a regular occurrence, right? So we want to make sure that we are taking and making that time to review these policies. These are school board policies, so we want to make sure that at least we know what they say and we can kind of address any questions or concerns that may come up from the public. So I'm assuming no questions, comments? All right. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Rubin?
Jason, or Dr. Newman, could you remind me, so these come to us obviously, but prior they come to us, who else looks at them? Like, so these have all been reviewed by Dr. Walker and?
These are reviewed by Dr. Bruce, so Dr.
Okay.
Bruce is taking over the policy management. But these are not for, these have not been initiated by a code change.
Right.
There's no VSBA reason for them. They're simply our own review of the policy, just to make sure we know what the policies say.
But they're not getting reviewed from an equity lens the way we've talked, most of our other policies have, to make sure that we've accounted for those pieces?
That's a good question. I don't believe they are. That's something I'll take back to Dr. Bruce and see if we can have them reviewed by Dr. Walker as well. At this point in time, the only policies Dr. Walker reviews are the ones that we're changing, but certainly that might be good practice, so I'll take that back to Dr. Bruce. That's a good point.
Dr. Grossman?
Yes, that's a very, very good point. Thank you, Ms. Rubin. When we met with Dr. Bruce, just this is for the information of the board, we're going to be seeing 10 of these policies every meeting, and that way, in 1 year's time, we should be able to review each policy. That was neat to see and learn about. So I thought I would share that with you.
Thank you. All right. That moves us to our next item under 6, that is construction update. Mr. Smith?
Okay, good evening. I was going to hope to do this at the work site. Unfortunately, we had some folks that could not make it. And so this evening I come before you to give you an update on the project. Right now we are working on the finishes in the building. So you'll see, if you go in there now, you'll see color paint on the wall. You'll see carpeting has not started yet, but will be soon. But the painting's going in. Trim is going to be started. We're going to start trimming out the windows. We are working on the ops building on getting it closed in. Right now, it has its roof up. It has all the openings. We need to build out the interior walls, which aren't many. There's only a couple. But it will be closed in the coming weeks. The parking lot is being laid. The curb and gutter is being laid into the parking lot area. We have run into some soil issues in the parking area. Some of the soil is unsuitable for the weight of the parking lot, and so we've had to scrape out and pull out a certain amount of soil and replace it. And so we are getting that done as well. Utility hookups are in process. We need our water and our power to be turned on and hooked up before we can get the HVAC going, so we can get that tested and balanced and make sure that it's operational before we move in. On the exhibit front, we had a great turnout for input on the project from our Douglas alumni. We met with and videotaped oral history of 18 of our alumni from that school. We are in the process of working with our exhibit designers to complete a small portion of the exhibit for building opening. That will include photos that are going to be enlarged and placed in windows that are in the lobby area. And we are in the process of working on that. We took a small alumni group last week for a tour. They enjoyed it and appreciated the time and the work that we've done on that building. For furniture, we are seeing good lead times right now. It looks like we're going to be okay on furniture, with one exception, and that is the school board dais. And unfortunately, that is still, it's just finishing up the design phase. And there's about anywhere between a 15 and 20-week lead time. So I'm assuming the worst 20 weeks is about 4.5, 5 months. And so it's hopefully going to be started on next week. And we will maybe get it in there by February. And so we'll figure out what we're going to do as far as our first board meeting. Our goal is to still get in there for our first board meeting in January. Maybe at tables for the first time once we get in there. But the dais is being built and under construction. So for furniture, we will receive furniture in the first, I've worked with furniture vendors today. We are looking at the first 2 weeks of December, getting delivery and set up with all of our cubicles and all of our office furniture. We are working on those logistics of getting the office moved from our current CAO to the new CAO. Obviously, that's a considerable task. Internet runs, all the internet for all the schools runs through that building. And so we will have to shut off the internet over the weekend and then turn it back on in the new building. And so Aaron is working with some vendors to get that taken care of and get that internet, because we need it cranked up before we get over there so that we can get started. The central office that we're currently in right now, departments are working on consolidating and reducing documents so that we don't have to take stuff over there that we don't need. So we're using this as an opportunity to kind of clean house, disposing of documents and shredding documents as we're allowed by the state code and by the Library of Virginia. So we're working on that. And I think that's all I have for tonight. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Mrs. Smith? Questions? Comments? I have one quick question. Do we have an off-site location to store documents? I'm thinking like Iron Mountain or something like that. Or do we just do that on site?
You're talking about for what?
For documents, in terms of document storage,
So,
like paper?
yes. So documents are stored by the individual departments. And so we do not have an off-site location. All of our student records annually are scanned. And so student records are kept. Employee records that we're required to keep for up to 50 years. 50, yeah. There's only certain amounts of information that we need to keep on each employee, but it's still a considerable amount. Has to be stored. And so we have a storage room that we have designed in HR. Financial records also are stored, but not offsite. We are actually storing offsite.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow. Doesn't seem right, does it? All right, that does conclude our public portion of our business meeting this evening. I think we do have need for closed session.
Okay. Pursuant to section 2.23711A1 of the Code of Virginia, motion of the board to convene a closed session for the purpose of discussing personnel matters, including prospective candidates for employment and the assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of specific public officers, appointees, or employees, specifically candidates for instructional/licensed positions for the 2022-2023 school year, substitute teacher and support staff, club and activity stipends, administrative stipends, and resignations.
All right, thank you. We have a motion by Dr. Pierce Gonzalez.
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Wallace. Is there any discussion? All right, all in favor? Any opposed? All right, thank you. We are now in closed session.